Can you please introduce yourself and state what grade you're currently teaching?
Okay, my name is Emma Cosme, and I teach third grade bilingual.
Okay. How many years have you been teaching bilingual classes?
This is my third year.
Third year. Have you always been teaching bilingual, or did you teach general before?
I've always taught bilingual. I previously taught fifth grade for 2 years, and this is my first year teaching third.
What made you choose the education path?
It was actually a childhood dream of mine. It's something that I always wanted to do. I have always wanted to be a teacher, and life led me in a different path for a long time. And I finally made the decision to make the jump into education, and here I am.
Okay. So before coming into the education field, what were your views towards education?
I don't know if I had any strong opinion one way or the other about education, other than the fact that it is a right, and the fact that it's something that everyone should be entitled to it. I feel that the education in general in the state of Texas, I felt was better put together, I guess, if you would say it that way, than Florida, which is where I used to live previously. I felt that the education system here in Texas was actually in better shape than the education system in Florida. Not by personal experience, but what I had actually noticed with people around me. I didn't have any children in the Florida education system, so it was almost by proxy, not necessarily by personal experience.
Now that you started teaching, you already have 3 years. You've been doing bilingual. Do you feel like that's changed your views?
About education as a whole, I don't think it has changed it as much as it has shaped it. It's given me more insight into the education system as a whole. And personally, it has given me more insight into what I would prefer to teach as a teacher. I feel that the education system as a whole is a very intricate, complicated machine that has many moving parts that are difficult to describe in just one simple thought, I guess, if you would.
So, having them at a disadvantage from students that are monolingual in subjects like reading, writing, how do you think that compares to students that are in bilingual classes that basically focus those subjects in Spanish?
It's a somewhat of a disadvantage in the long run, because the younger grades typically work on things like letter sounds and phonological awareness and things of that nature in English at a young age in the early grades. And at that point, bilingual kids are focusing on those same skills in their native tongue of Spanish. So there is somewhat of a disadvantage, because that instruction, that explicit instruction, gets lost along the way for those bilingual children, because by the time they are going through those skills in English, those explicit skills have already been taught, and they never really turn back around and come back to them.
Based off your experience being a bilingual teacher, and then seeing some of the classrooms that teach in monolingual, what are things you would change in the education system to benefit ELL learners?
I think that the one thing that I would change would be integrating a lot more of that phonological awareness and the things that we typically teach English-speaking students. We would definitely be putting kids at a disadvantage by, or have been putting kids at a disadvantage by not doing those explicit lessons with those students. at an early age when everyone else is going through them, since they are doing those in Spanish at the time. So one thing I would like to change is to have that additional instruction incorporated into their curriculum, so that they are able to understand the intricacies of the English language along with everything that they're learning in Spanish as well.
Since you do teach in a bilingual classroom, I'm sure there are parents that sometimes they may not understand English or know a great amount of that language. What resources would you recommend or provide for students or their families?
Tomball ISD as a district actually provides a resource called Ready Rosie, which is an online program where teachers are able to assign materials in both English and Spanish. It has activities that they can do at home in order to help their students along, as well as some other small assignments that are just ideas for activities that parents and students can do at home when they're trying to practice certain skills. I think that it's great that the district itself provides that program at no cost to the families, because once you start attaching a price tag to some of those resources, certain families are unable to provide those kinds of the kind of funding necessary to be able to access those resources. So it's great that the district itself actually provides those free of charge.
Okay. I do want to thank you for letting me interview you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hope it helps.